Hello, everyone. This is Francine Crawford. Welcome to my show. Autumn is here. Today, we're just going to talk to you about certain things that people have asked me. They asked me so many questions, and with doing this podcast, people ask me different questions about different things, about my experience and things like that. I did tell my story before, but some people ask me specifics, and some people ask me about my pain points. And even if when I get in a conversation and I talk to them, you start thinking about it, and it's like everybody's experience is different. And my pain points may be different from somebody else, but sometimes people don't talk about it. They don't go over it. Say if you were a caregiver to your parent for years, and then they passed away. Sometimes people think, okay, that's just it. It stops right there, but it doesn't always stop right there. Sometimes people do. They don't think about it anymore or whatever, or they get through the first moments, the first few months or whatever. But sometimes, we don't rehash what happened, and we don't rehash what happened or every detail that happened because it was hard. That's one reason. And also because of so many different things, and I know I didn't rehash everything that happened. I didn't. I knew that, I did the best that I could do. And, there was nothing else that could be done. So I kind of accepted it. But with doing my show, people are asking questions, and people are saying similar things and reminding me or making me remember of certain things that happened to me, because some situations are very similar. And when someone else goes through it, you feel their pain because you felt it too. So some of my pain points, I just want to discuss today, and maybe somebody's going through it, or maybe it'll just help somebody. One of my pain points, just randomly, not in order, was when, I found out that she really needed some extra help. She knew that she had memory loss and dementia, Alzheimer's, and what do you do? And at that point in time, I'm full-time working, and I knew that she needed care, and trying to find a home attendant and understanding that situation, I did not know. I did not understand. And then, they said that, they were only going to give her 4 hours, and that wasn't enough because I had to work. And not knowing that was very frustrating. So when I kept asking around, they said they had something called adult daycare, and that actually helped because that was like 6 hours or something like that. So that was really good. So when she went to adult daycare, the first one, it was local. That was good. I thought that was great. I had somebody, but you have to think about it. You have to have somebody pick her up or be waiting home for when they do bring her home and stuff like that. So you kind of have to organize it. And it was a little frustrating, but you knew this would help you. This is what she has to do. This is what you need. You got to go to work. So you do that. And I did that. And the first one, I would get calls about like, oh, well, she doesn't want to participate. She doesn't want to, whatever. And didn't realize that there's a difference between just an adult daycare center and a memory loss daycare center, or someone that serves for people who have problems with dementia and things like that. So I didn't know. So that one didn't really fit well. And it was more calls and more complaints than anything. So then I found someone that had a memory daycare, and that was wonderful. It was very far, but it was wonderful. We were able to get transportation, set that up, and you have to do all these different things. And it was a great program. Matter of fact, they even had yoga after 1 day a week for the caregivers. And after probably, I would say about 6 weeks, they closed the whole program down. Really nice program. So, that frustration, you think you got everything together. You think you're going to be able to work, and she can go to her daycare, and you got a neighbor to pick her up or whatever. And it just stops. It just, okay, now what do you do? So just not knowing all the next steps to do. Like if that happens, what happens? When you're in a situation like that, that's going to progress. It's hard to think about right now and think about the future, but you kind of have to do that. And those were very frustrating times, just trying to say, okay, what's next? What do I do next? I already had to set up. Now this is not going to work, and trying to hold down your job and trying to take care of your parent and, do the best you can. And, it's frustrating when you have to depend on agencies, city, state, things like that. It can be very frustrating, especially if you're not involved in that and you haven't been involved in that before. Pain points of just talking to the doctors. you don't understand what the disease is, or you don't understand the illnesses. And when you're talking to the doctors or the medical staff and things like that, not having all that paperwork, not understanding their medical and their situation, that was so frustrating, trying to explain the best that you knew how, and you really didn't have all the information. That's very frustrating. And then feeling, I know people may not admit to this, but feeling stupid, feeling like that's my mom. I don't even understand like her situation, her medical. I don't, feeling like you're the responsible one, but you don't have all the information, not understanding her insurance, not understanding what she was eligible for, trying to, fill out the right papers, go to the right places, make the right appointments. That's very, very tough and very frustrating when you're trying to make the right appointments and things get canceled and you don't have that time. Those things it's just that experience with that. It does get to you. It does get to you. And then you have to stay well for yourself so you can be well for them. And it gets very, very frustrating. Not understanding disease. I didn't understand Alzheimer's and the fears of Alzheimer's. And all I heard was that you wander. And I was scared to death my mother was going to wander somewhere and I would lose her. But I didn't understand that disease at that time. So I was waiting for that and uptight about that. But I think that she wandered before. We just didn't understand it. We just thought she was doing what she wanted to do when she walked away when we were at events and stuff like that. So, but not realizing that at that time, every night going to sleep, you're afraid that she's going to wander, or she's, you leave her and with somebody, you think that, okay, if they don't keep your eye on her, she's going to wander. So those are things that were very, very scary to me, and trying to be able to manage that is a lot. Like I said before, I don't know. I didn't know about any programs. I didn't know about support groups. I had no clue about that. And that was, one of the things that was very stressful. Not knowing the next steps, not knowing what was out there. So though that was, another one of my pain points, even with trying to not pretend, but you try to make it as normal as possible. So you're still trying to do things that they like. So I'm still trying to take my mom out sometimes. I'm still trying to, take her to an event, something that she'd like, sit with her, whatever. And, it wasn't working because her reasoning wasn't the same. I would come home, rush home and get her dressed and whatever and say, I'm going upstairs to change my clothes. I'm coming right back down and we're going to go out. We're going to go eat. We're going to go to this comedy thing. We're going to whatever. Oh, okay. So, and then I come downstairs and she's totally undressed. She's totally her house dressed. And I'm like, why are you not dressed? She's like, what do you mean? I'm comfortable. She would be like nothing. She didn't even realize I came home. We got dressed, whatever. She, trying to deal with that all the time is very stressful because you want her to be happy. You want her to feel like herself, but you're not realizing that she's not herself and she's not going to feel like herself. She's just someone different right now. So, that was painful to kind of try to get used to that. And what do you do with that? Like, what do you do, when you try to, you fix her a plate and to eat, and then she comes back and then she says, when are you going to fix me a plate? After she's eaten. What are you talking about? You just ate. Like, it's just a different world. So the frustration that comes with that, the frustration that comes with dealing with someone that has an illness that maybe you can or can't handle by yourself, needing the help, not feeling like you're the one responsible person, but you need help and you want help, and there's not, really a lot to help you. I wish my children had helped more, but I don't think they understood the stress, not only the stress, but they didn't understand the impact of it. I didn't really understand the impact of what I was going through. So I don't think that people they just really didn't get it. People do little things or one day or whatever, but this was an ongoing, everyday situation that wasn't going anywhere. So, and eventually you're going to need more help, dealing with social workers. I never really dealt with the city and the state and things like that. And sometimes it's frustrating because they kind of think that everybody knows how to do this. Everybody knows, oh, this is just simple. It's not simple when you're going through. It's not simple. It's emotional. You're stressed out. You're doing your thing. You're trying to get them together. So sometimes people are not as kind as they should be in certain circumstances, dealing with the city, with dealing with the state. They're maybe abrupt. I'm not saying that they're mean, but sometimes they're abrupt, and it's you're already frustrated. So that was very heavy and very painful, and trying to be like, okay, I got to be calm because I want them to help my mom. So you got to be nice, okay, because they hold the cards, It's just, a lot of different things. Taking them out in public, taking your loved one out in public and not knowing how they're going to react, not knowing what's needed. I always was afraid that she would, maybe go to the bathroom and can't make it or whatever, or, but I don't remember her ever going to the bathroom or not making it when we went out to a place. But in a house, she would forget to go to the bathroom, which is very strange. But yeah, she would forget to go to the bathroom, and that was stressful, especially after you've maybe washed her up, gave her a bath and everything, and then you come back downstairs and she's went to the bathroom on herself, and now you have to wash her up again. Nights have stayed up late, worrying, stress can't come down. Like sometimes you come home and you do what you got to do, and you do it for her, and you can't come down. You can't sleep. Sleepless nights. I mean, that and alone, that when the next day you're no good, and that's not good. Sleepless nights, the emotional wondering. You're wondering every day. You're thinking every day because you don't know what you're going to get every day. So that was just so stressful, thinking about that, having anxiety, having to plan things ahead of time, which you just really don't know what to expect, trying to have some normalcy, but there was no normalcy. Everything was going to change. Being frustrated, sometimes being angry. You go through that where you're like, I can't fix this. I can't manage it by myself. And the help, I thought the help was out there. Now, I didn't know, I wasn't aware of support, caregiver support. But like I said before, I didn't even think I was a caregiver. I just think I was taking care of my mother. Like, I never thought about that word. So it's very interesting, the frustration that you go through and the things that, maybe people don't say or don't admit to, but sometimes you get upset with them. You get upset with them because it's like, come on, why? I'm trying to explain this to you, and they'll totally forget, or just, they don't want to participate. Sometimes your parent don't want to participate, trying to find a place for them after I could not do it any longer, trying to find a nursing home, frustrating. I didn't know what to look for, but even when I look for it, they have a sign up list or whatever, and, waiting list, and, no one calls you back. And then you have to have all these answers, insurance, medical, all kinds of stuff. Did she take tests? Did she do the, things that you're like, oh my God, like you don't know. Even when you go to nursing home, you got to know their bank account and their bank information and their money situations and be able to pull that together. All that was very taxing, and yeah, that was a pain point too, but you kind of, when you're in it, you just do it. But I know I was worn down, and I know that I was feeling alone and sad, and you just know that you got to keep doing it. But sometimes that's not enough. That's not enough energy. That's not, you don't have the energy, feeling like you have no more freedom. You were free to do what you want, go where you want, go to events, go to trips, do what you want. And that feeling like everything is shut down. Like, you can't. I can't. I got to see about her first. I got to stay home with her. I can't go anywhere. I can't travel. I can't do this because you're the one responsible. That's a heavy load to bear. And somebody right now is in that situation. It's a heavy load to bear. Whatever your situation is, try to get some help, whether it's a relative, a neighbor, or whatever. But now there are agencies that will have care support, and seek it if you're in that situation, because it's a heavy load to bear when you had the freedom to do, do everything. I remember thinking like, okay, now, you got the kids out the house, and I was going to go back to school. So I actually had applied to go back to school, and then this happened. And I was like, how do I do that? How do I work and go to school and then take care of her? I don't know if anybody else does. I have to speak for only me, but you do the why me thing. I did that. Why me? Why now? Why now? Why, I'm not finished doing what I plan. Like, why now? You got that burden on you, like, oh my goodness, and I know people don't want to admit that it's a burden, but it is. It's a burden. It's heavy, feeling like, I remember feeling like, God, why would you take my brother when my mom was going to be like this? I don't have anybody that has equal responsibility in this. That if someone does something, my cousin or my kids or whatever, they help, it's appreciated, but you don't feel like they have to be the one. You have to be the one, So I had many, many frustrating days of that, feeling that I couldn't participate in things that I used to participate in, feeling like the odd person out, feeling like, like, I don't know, if I'm different now, people can't count on me because I gotta do something else. So I felt like I was just out, like an outcast in a sense, nobody else was going through that. And you couldn't explain it enough. People would see the surface stuff, but you couldn't explain the deep stuff, the worries, the frustration, the anxiety, the fear. You couldn't explain that to people. People didn't get it, and, you had to take that by yourself. I mean, you talk to people, but people were kind, but they didn't get it all, and, that's why, seek some help, professional help if you can. If you're going through that, because, I don't know how I made it through. When I think about it, like when people ask me and I think about it, I'm like, all these different things, the fatigue, the feeling exhausted and tired. Oh my God. I don't even want to think about that. Like, I remember just, having to get up in the morning, like you don't want to get up. You don't want to go to work. I don't know how I made it. Like, that fatigue and tired is just something that, okay, you push yourself through. And it's not pleasant, but you push yourself through and you do it. When they go to the nursing home and they get into nursing home, and I got her into nursing home that was local, and I actually had to fight for that, and I went through different channels and I went over somebody's head to do it, but because I wanted it local, I mean, that's all I thought, that it looked like it was a nice place, it was local, and that's not necessarily the best criteria, but that's what I did that would help me, because it was only me and I had to get to her quickly. So that worked for me, and it may work for you, but just think about that, because it's not just because the place is local. You have to see how the facility is run and how it helps, and if it is efficient for the needs of your loved one. But it happened to work for me, and it was in the area, so it happened to work for me. And going through that and having to go through meetings and drills of they ask you so many questions and so many things you have to do, and knowing what questions to ask them. Like, I didn't know what to ask them. I didn't know what to expect, so that was a very difficult. Those were very difficult time, and that was very painful. The things that you learn as you go along, you're just moving along, and you're trying to fix the next step, the next thing, but the next challenge. But you don't know that if you're gonna make the right decision. That is very, very frustrating, very scary, and you don't know that until after the fact. So that second guessing yourself, making the right decision. If I made the right decision, should I have put her in a home? Should I have left her here? Is she gonna die soon? Is she gonna, those questions go through your mind. Like, oh my God, what's going on? I mean, and that was for years. So being a caregiver is you can't predict it, what's gonna happen. You can't make sure that, everything is going to be right, whatever. But that's why, I do the show, Autumn is Here, because I want people to at least have the option or be familiar with some things, be familiar with care, be familiar with certain diseases. Just be familiar with it so you'll know the questions to ask if it happens to you. You'll know the questions to ask if a doctor, brushes you off. Know that some doctors do brush you off. You'll know the paperwork to have ahead of time if they may need to go into the hospital or have a medical issue. That's why I do it. The pain points are enormous, and you may not even understand like all that you're going to go through, and you may just go through it and not even realize it. And even after, if your parent passes away, that grief, that did I do everything I was supposed to do? Could I have done something better? Should I have kept her home? Should I visit the nursing home more often? Just whatever. You just have that grief. If you can get therapy for that. I was lucky enough to have, when my mom went to hospice, MJHS, they offered a year of therapy, grief therapy. I didn't know about it, but I'm grateful that they did. And that helped me. But even then, I never really went through all the pain points. I really didn't. But, I'm not saying that you have to, but in doing this, it brought so much up. And there's a lot of pain points. I don't even want to bore you with all of them, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that you don't even expect that you're going to go through that you can go through. So the more that you can prepare, the more that you can talk to your parent, the more that seniors can prepare themselves, get their stuff in order, go to their kids, say, this is where my will is, this is where my medical history, this is my insurance policy. Or if you can ask your parents things like that, or, be around their parents more, recognize if they're having a problem with their breathing, or they're slowing down, or things that they used to do that they don't do anymore. Going out, all of a sudden they used to go out all the time and go to bridge and play cards and do this and play all these different things, play music all the time, and now it's quiet in the house, or they don't go out, or they don't socialize. Just notice these things and ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask the questions, please, because the more you know, the more, if something is in need and you have to answer a question to a doctor or to a facility, you have the answers. And you might need to know what they want for their future, and just know what to look for when you have to put them in a facility, when they go in the hospital, bed sores and things like that, sores on their feet. If they're not having circulation in their feet or their limbs and stuff like that, just notice these things. Everyone cares about their loved one, and going through it blindly, without anything, without being prepared, without expecting it. We know we're going to grow older. We know our parents are going to grow older. There's no reason why we should not expect that there's going to be a point where they're going to need some help. There's no reason. Ask the questions now, before you get to a point where you have to make these decisions. And these pain points are real. This frustration is real. The loneliness is real. The emotions are real. The fatigue is real. The scary nights, the fear that you can't sleep because you're worried and wondering. And, there were financial issues. Do I have enough money to take care of her? Do I have enough money to keep going like this? That's stressful. These things maybe people don't think about, but that's a real thing. Finance is a real thing in this too. So, that's my show for today. I just wanted to talk to you about some pain points because people have been asking me about my pain points. I can't speak to what I would do, if I was in anybody else's situation, but I do know there's a lot of things I would have done differently if I would have been more prepared, if I would have understood the disease more, if I knew there was care out there, if I knew how to deal with doctors and health professionals a little better, ask questions, go to administration if they're not answering the right questions, or if I just don't understand, like I didn't know those things, I would have had my mom's paperwork ready. My mother would have already taken certain tests that, they're tests that they're supposed to take regularly that my mom wasn't taking, make sure of that. If you can do that, at least you'll have everything, updated. So if something should happen, they know the very last one, and they know they can make a better decision. So things like that, it's a lot on one person. So if you can get your family involved, get them involved now. Start talking about it, not being afraid to talk about it. Don't talk about it just when it happens. Talk about it now. Get your family involved. Get somebody that's familiar with social services or healthcare, maybe can give you some more information on it. If you have friends like that, talk to them now. Talk to them about the situation, the system, and what's going on. And if you can do that, then maybe you can eliminate some of these pain points, some of these frustrations, some of these fears. Maybe you can eliminate some of them. Not all, but maybe you can eliminate some of them and better educate yourself and be better to make a better decision on how you're going to care for your loved one. Okay, that's my show today. And thank you for listening.